Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the grey. Today's video, we're going to talk start collecting Warhammer Age of Sigmar Warcry, and today we're going to take a look at the Scions of the Flame. The Scions of the Flame are one of the many chaos-focused warbands in Warhammer Age of Sigmar Warcry. Today, we're going to take a look at everything inside the box set, talk about what it can do on the tabletop, before looking at some other units we can use to bring into our warband to expand upon this initial box set and give us some other options. Finally, we'll finish off the video with a little sample warband of 1000 renown for you to use as some inspiration for creating your own Scions of the Flame warband in Warcry, or indeed copy ours if that's what you wish to do. So with all of that said, what do we get inside this box set? And the first thing we get is the Blazing Lord. This is the awesome looking samurai looking armored warrior you can see on the bottom left. He is an absolute beast. Toughness 4 and 20 wounds, like most of your Warcry Warband champions here. But he also puts out 4 attacks at strength 5, 2/6 on his damage. Really powerful. He's got a couple of abilities he can use. First of all, for a double beheading strike, where he adds half the value of this ability, rounding up to all his critical hits with a range of 3 or less. And you can also use the Ignited Fervor, which is his leader ability, which can be used for a triple, and until the end of the battle round, you add one to the attacks characteristic of attacks that have a range of 3 or less made by friendly fighters within 6 inches of him. This, of course, would include himself. Now, alongside him, we get his Brazen Champion, another really cool and powerful fighter. 18 wounds, toughness 4, pretty good for that second in command role, a couple of extra wounds on there. 3 attacks, once again at a really high strength of 5 and 3/6 on that damage. He also gets access to Beheading Strike for some extra critical hit damage. We then get the Inferno Priest. Now this is a wizard you can see on the left hand side of the picture we've got. You've got the 5-inch range, 2 attack, strength 3, 2, 4 damage wizard shot, which is a little bit better than your average sort of wizard shot. And then you've got a nice, decent close combat profile with 3 attacks at strength 4, 2, 4 on the damage. On top of this, you have a really cool quad in Engulf in Flames. This is where you pick a visible enemy fighter within 3 inches of the fighter and roll 6 dice. For each 2+, allocate a number of damage points to that fighter equal to half the value of this ability, rounding up. In addition, for each 6, roll 1 extra dice as above, and keep going until you don't roll 6s. It is an absolutely insanely good quad. I've had, the ability where this chains off and just goes absolutely nuts and melts things like Mollog or a Ogre Myrmidon off the table. Next up, we have an Immolator. This is the giant fireball you see in the front there. The Immolator's big thing is its Inferno for a triple. Roll 1 dice for each visible enemy fighter within 3 inch, and on a 4 to 5, you allocate a damage point. However, on a 6, you allocate a damage point equal to the value of this ability. On top of that, strength 4 and 2/5 on its damage as well. Then we have the Fireborn, and we have a couple of different variations of Fireborn, but they are pretty much just slightly better initiates. I really do like the Fireborn you can take where you have access to the rune mark for the braziers to throw your firebombs. This just gives you a little bit of splash damage around the 4. Now, lastly, we have a couple of initiates in the box set, and you do have a variety of different weapons. Once again, with these, I always go for the ones, anyone that has a Flame Burst pot on these smaller fighters, I think is much more valuable. That way you get that double. Throw fire bombs where you can pick up a double and roll some splash damage onto your opponents. And so, where to go next for our Scions of the Flame? And well, the best place to start is another Scions of the Flame box set. You could definitely pick up the double box as well. That is the Warhammer Age of Sigmar box that will get you a ×2 of this. That'll give you plenty of different options, enable you to run pretty much any warband you want with just Scions of the Flame miniatures. Now, there are definitely some ones you want to pick up, I think, from that double box. You want to be able to get your other Flame Burst Pot miniatures, especially for your Initiates and for your Fireborns. I think an extra Brazen Champion, an extra one of the Immolator are really nice additions as well. And, the ability to run a double Blazing Lord if you want in a warband is always there as well. As for things you want to bring into the force, I think your army does combat really well and does splash damage really well. Two really cool things in Warcry. So the Fomoroid Crusher for me, I think adds something nice to your force. First of all, he's got the ability to do some range splash damage with his Hell Boulders, the rubble being able to deal some damage out of that. But on top of that, he's really tough. Toughness 6, 35 wounds. He can just take an absolute beating, a nice big bullet magnet for your force. And that's much the same as the Ogroid Myrmidon, who doesn't have the splash damage, but is much more offensively good than the Fomoroid Crusher. You're going to get some nice additional sort of damage, and out of him, I think he's a really solid piece to bring. But for me, a nice addition I like is the Skull Grinder. Now, the Skull Grinder, first of all, has a nice Brazen Anvil, which is a 2-inch range, 2 attack, strength 5, 3, 6 on the damage, which is really cool. But also, you've got some other nice abilities in there as well for him. First of all, his Demon Forged Weapons, where until the end of the fighter's activation, you add half this value of ability to his critical hits, which is really cool. And you've got the Lord of Skulls, where you can get some extra attacks into him. He's just a nice combat blender monster for me that's going to add a lot of damage to your force. So you really can add, I guess any of the Cornate heroes really do add a lot to a Scions of the Flame force. They're nice, good, strong combat pieces with decent toughness and decent wounds, really playing along and melding in well with what you're already doing with the Scions of the Flame. And so here we have our sample warband for the Scions of the Flame. We've gone with the Blazing Lord as our leader. Obviously, it's the only leader option we have. Fighter-wise, we've got a Brazen Champion, Immolator, Inferno Priest in there. I think these three are just really solid. The Inferno Priest is in there. If you ever get that quad, it can be a game-winning quad. Can just take out your opponent's best fighter with a good roll on his nice Engulf in Flames quad. We then got two Initiates in there, one with the Brazier Weapon and Flame Burst pot, and the other one with just the Flame Burst pot. No Fireborn in here. I feel, for me, Fireborn just are a little bit lackluster. I feel you're almost better always taking like two Initiates for the cost of a single Fireborn. Yes, one of the Fireborn can get a Flame Burst pot, but you're better still off, I think, having two Initiates in that place instead of the Fireborn. And for not much more than a Fireborn, you can get, you know, something like an Immolator in your force. Generally about 15 to 20 points more, and you get an Immolator in there. So I always think Fireborn for me are just the first things that come out of that initial box. Then we've got the Fomoroid Crusher in here. I think this just adds a lot of wound density to the force for you. Brings your force up to a nice respectable 123 wounds, meaning you're right in that sort of average range. 1,000 out of the 1,000 rounds spent. If you've been playing with Scions of the Flame in Warcry, let us know how you've been going and what you would do with your warband down in the comments below. That's the end of the video, everyone. Thank you all for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, drop us a comment down below in the comments section and let us know what you enjoyed about the video and what you'd like to see more of on the channel. If you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our little community here we have at Sinful Gaming, you can do so on our Discord server, which is linked in the video's description. Also linked in the video's description is our Patreon and YouTube members, where you can go to help support the channel and allow us to keep doing what we're doing. As a special thank you to our Patreons and YouTube members, we'd like to give them all a shout out. So thank you to our Patreons: Christian Weir, Soren, Greenskins Gaming, Kenny Lauer, Outer Shot First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, The Rising Ape, Q Dynamic, Anthony B, JJ Austrian, Average Wargamer, Domir, Mark Harvey, James Cater, Derek, and Giappy390. And to our YouTube members: Green Roots Gaming, Kenton Young, Ronya, Lock Lorick, The Johnny84, David Ellsworth, Wolfric Nick, Broken Chef, Ariana Edwards, Revenar, Pink Nico Fire, Robin Mankiller, and Monty's Tabletop Terrain. And lastly, a special thanks to Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing artwork you see on the channel. Thank you all for watching. Once again, stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now, everyone.